For more on this, let's bring in Michael Allen, former senior director at the National Security Council under George W. Bush and managing director at Beacon Global Strategies. Let's get into Iran in just a second. But first of all, you know the National Security Council. Were you surprised that Mike Waltz and his deputy and a couple of others being shown the door?
Well, there's been a lot of sound lately that something like this might happen, so I'm not completely surprised. But also, it's the first 100 days of the administration. Things are beginning to shake out. The National Security Council staff is very close to the president. It's his immediate group of people who give him intelligence and bring him options on difficult policy things. So I'm not surprised that the president wants to have complete confidence and have a very good relationship with those around him. And so I think there's a little bit of shaking out that's going on.
We had Alex Gray on here an hour ago, and he suggested that it wasn't just the kerfuffle over the signal chat inviting in Jeffrey Goldberg from the Atlantic, but that Waltz was seen as too hawkish by some people outside the administration who are very close to the president.
I've heard that as well. There have been some suggestion that Waltz in the past has been aggressive towards Iran, maybe hawkish towards Russia. So that is definitely a subtext here. I don't know it for a fact. We're just going to have to see how things shake out in the future, but I've definitely heard that.
But in terms of being hawkish toward Iran, what about this post on X by Pete Hegseth last night, where he said, quote, "Message to Iran, we see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you are doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequence at the time and place of our choosing." It's highly unusual for a Secretary of Defense to send a message like that on social media. And that is, if nothing else, pretty hawkish.
You're exactly right. I'd know that he wouldn't have done that without some clearance from the White House. So it's got me wondering, what are they trying to signal to us or the Iranians more likely? And I think what they're trying to say is that we've been after the Houthi for some time now. We're a little frustrated that we haven't completely eradicated them, but we're going to go more towards the head of the octopus, the person that controls all of these militia forces, if you will, all over the region. And I think they're trying to say to Iran, we see the boats that supply the missiles, we see your troops inside of Yemen that train them, and we even see intelligence vessels out in the Red Sea that are helping facilitate the shots that the Houthi take at commercial shipping around the world. So I almost think they're sending a message to Iran of, we're going to get more serious, come up the escalation ladder on the Houthi, beware. And that also, I think, helps them a little bit on the Iranian nuclear file to put a little steel into Witkoff's negotiations.
So do you think this is just saber rattling, or this is an indication that the United States might be willing to go to the head of the snake, is what I had, but your octopus is an even better message.
So I think it's a real signal. I don't think the Secretary of Defense is out there freelancing on this. I think he's gotten it, and they don't want to hit Iran proper. I'm not saying that they're going to hit the country. I think they would hit an Iranian asset that's either in the Red Sea or maybe even inside of Yemen.
But because if you look back in the Reagan administration, he hit those oil platforms in the Persian Gulf, the eastern side of the Persian Gulf. And that's what got Iran to change its ways.
Yeah.
You know, we've been launching some pretty substantial strikes against the Houthis.
Right.
And Israel has done a few things inside Iran that's really taken away their capability to defend themselves from an airstrike.
Yeah.
I mean, why doesn't the U.S. do what Reagan did?
I think we should. I think it's an analogy that has a lot of currency in today's age, which is, let's go to the top. Let's make them pay for this. Not because we want war, by the way, but because we want to get them to ratchet down the aggression with which they pursue not only U.S. vessels in the region, which have a whole reason to be there, but also the Israelis, also other innocents that happen to be around. We have an interest in just sort of making sure the Middle East is stable. We don't want any more Middle Eastern wars, but I think there is something to what Secretary Hegseth is trying to say, which is that the Houthi need to stand down.
All right. Hey, just before we finish, who do you think might replace Mike Waltz?
So I've heard a bunch of names from people that are in the cabinet today to other people in the National Security Council. I don't know yet for sure. Everyone's asking. Everyone's trying to figure it out.
Give us a name or two.
Well, I've heard the head of counterterrorism at the NSC is a candidate. I've heard of, yeah, I've heard that name before. I've also heard people that are in the special envoy category for the president.
Wickoff?
I've heard that. I don't know if he wants it. I don't know for sure. I'm just hearing what other people are wondering about. And honestly, it's a little bit of speculation until the president makes a decision.
Well, somebody's going to get the job.
Yes,
we know that for sure.
Yes, sir.
Michael, thank you.
You bet.
Now this.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.